Welcome to Sharing the Light, the Sunshine Cathedral's talk show webcast where we discuss theological, ethical, spiritual, and social issues with the cathedral's pastoral staff. Sunshine Cathedral is a metropolitan community church affiliated with the Center for Progressive Christianity. We're located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, we hope you will enjoy this episode of Sharing the Light. Hello and welcome to Sharing the Light. I'm Robert Griffin and want to thank you for joining us here on Sharing the Light. Today, joined with me is our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins, and also our staff clergy person, Reverend Michael Diaz. And on this topic for Sharing the Light today, we're going to be exploring why isn't everyone healed by prayer? Why isn't everyone healed by prayer? So let's dive right into this discussion.
I don't know that they aren't.
Okay.
I just don't know that they aren't. As you know, let's see, we're taping this in February, so this will be seen the latter half of March, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so in January, so still recently when this is shown, in January, my father died. So this is something that's very sort of recent, and personal to me is, why wasn't, he was only 67, he'd been ill for a while, and he died. And there were this church was praying for him. A lot of people were praying for him. His church, his family, his friends, a lot of prayers. I went there to visit him, and I went home, and I got to spend a week with him. And then the day I got back, or the day after I got back, he died, and then I got to go back and be at the funeral. Well, during that week, his vitals were amazingly good the whole week. So it looked as if he might do better, in time, because he was doing well. He was resting comfortably. He was surrounded by love. He was getting good care, and I got to hear a lot of stories about him from friends and relatives, stories that I didn't know, stories that I'm glad that I now know, and I got to spend quality time with him and say things to him, and have some healing moments, and so when I left feeling as if nothing had been left unsaid. Mm-hmm. And then he died with people around him, peacefully, surrounded by love. And then the family came together to mourn together. So even though he died young, at 67, that week was a week filled with healing, I think. And so in his instance, healing didn't look like cure. It didn't look like remission, but I can see lots of ways that healing transpired in his life and in the lives of people connected to his. And the same, I've got a similar story about my grandfather who died at 65 when I was in high school. Died of cancer, people praying, he was getting treatment, he still died. And yet his last 2 years, he became so demonstrative with my grandmother, which was new, and he became very demonstrative with his grandchildren. And he actually died in his children's arms at home, which is where he wanted to be. So again, there was a lot of healing in the situation, even though his body was very, very frail. So, I don't know why chemo doesn't always work. I don't know why surgery doesn't always work. I don't know why medications don't always work. I don't know why prayer doesn't always work the way we want it to. Mm-hmm. And yet, even when we don't get the result that we thought we wanted, that doesn't mean that there wasn't healing. And so I think that if we are honestly saying we want healing, and then we will step back far enough to look, we may actually almost always find that there was healing. Healing may not always be cure, but even when cure doesn't happen, I think there's often a lot of healing that takes place as a result of prayer. And so why isn't everyone healed through prayer? I'm not sure that there isn't healing that happens every time someone prays for healing. I may not be able to see it, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. And if I step far enough back, I may actually be able to see it even.
Mike?
I think sometimes when we're praying, whether it's for healing, whether it's for better health, whatever the case may be, I think sometimes we get confused on what prayer actually is in itself. Many times, so many people are praying to this outside force, this old man in the sky that can just wave a wand and just fix everything. But I think if we stop back and realize that if God whether it's a divine presence, whether it's someone in the sky, whatever. But if God is good, then God is always working towards good, is always working towards health and wholeness, whether we are praying or not. And so I think one of the big benefits of prayer is not that it changes God's mind, but it's in order to change ours. So many times we have to get our minds in tune with the healing process. We have to get our minds in tune with what is possible in our lives. I mean, there are so many stories and studies, actually, of the power of the mind and how people are able to overcome even things like cancer. But does that always happen? No, and we don't know why. But I think there are still possibilities that we can really tune into and attract and make those possibilities opportunities for health and wholeness in our lives.
So it's like what you have both done this morning is invited our listeners to really pay attention to what healing in fact really is and what prayer really is. And when we get those things, not to be shocked or amazed by when they do that. I think that's the flip side of this whole healing and prayer, that when prayers are answered, it may not look like what we thought it would look like, but it has been answered for us.
Because the truth is, I've laid hands on people, said prayers, and seen amazing things. I mean, people come out of comas, and people, reverse renal failure. And then I've prayed just as sincerely for other people that didn't have that result. And, so rather than make judgments about it, I say, well, this healing included remission, or this healing included cure, or this healing didn't, but that doesn't mean there wasn't healing. We also need to know that prayer focuses us, and where we focus attention, we're actually focusing energy. And so sometimes we can work to make our prayers more positive. If our prayers are focusing on combating the illness, well, the focus is still on illness,
right.
And so we're actually giving energy and focus and attention to what we don't want.
Right.
So it could be that even though we got something other than what we wanted, we actually were getting what we prayed for because we got what we were focusing on. If we were focusing on what we were afraid of, well, then that's where our energy and focus was flowing. Also, you never know what's in someone else's consciousness or what's in somebody's history. You don't know what's in someone's genes or in their diet or in their thoughts or how competent their medical providers are. There are so many factors in our health. There's this one saying that goes, if you pray for success and prepare for failure, you'll get the thing you prepared for. And so the person who is praying for healing but not willing to change their diet, are praying for healing but not willing to stop smoking, are praying for healing but not willing to take their medicine on schedule, or go to the doctor regularly.
It's a package deal.
Exactly. They're praying for one thing, but they're actually living something else, and their lived prayer may be the prayer that's being answered more than their spoken prayer. So it's a very complex issue, which is why I say I'm not sure that prayer isn't effective every single time. We may not be praying as effectively as we want to. We might be praying positively in this moment, but praying sort of against our prayers in these other ways. Or there just may be lots of healing going on that we have failed to notice. It's not that God said no, it's that we weren't paying attention to the ways that life said yes. And so it's a multifaceted question and answer, I think. But I do believe, all that being said, that prayer is a powerful force, and that prayers for healing do make a difference.
Great. Well, I want to thank you both for joining us here today on Sharing the Light, and thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us for another great episode of Sharing the Light. Tell your friends about this online ministry, and when you're in Southeast Florida, make sure you worship with us on a Sunday at the 9 a.m., the 10:30 a.m., or the 6 p.m. service. And now for a final word from our senior pastor, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins.
Email me at durrell@sunshinecathedral.net if you have a religious question or if you'd like to subscribe to our daily devotional magazine, Spirit and Truth. We'll send it anywhere in the United States for an annual donation of any size. You can also email us prayer requests, or you can make donations on our website, www.sunshinecathedral.org. You'll also want to check out our great performing arts series, religious education classes, conferences, and other exciting activities. For now, we wish you many blessings on your spiritual